Yeah,
Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes. Hello, Med. How are you?
I'm doing good.
You're
Back in my
singing a
normal
song.
confines. Hmm?
Yeah, you're singing a song.
Yeah. I was just, do
You're
wopping and
scatting.
scatting, if you will.
Yeah.
Just say I'm back in front of the mic, so it happens sometimes.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. All right. Hello, Cameron. How are you?
Hi, hey, I'm doing great, doing great.
Hey,
How's
hey,
everybody doing?
good. Good. Everyone's good. Everyone's good.
It's just fine.
Um,
All right.
Just fine.
how's school going, Med? Today's the first day of school in the Dallas Fort Worth area. I was wondering how's school going now, what, a week or two in for you guys?
Yeah, we're about 3 weeks in, and yeah, no, and they're now just starting to learn stuff.
Great,
This
great.
is a good time.
I ask them every day, "What do you do?" Stuff. And now today they started, I guess, to do tests. You know how it is, public schools is, hey, let's do testing. Let's do all these state Iowa stars, whatever the heck it is for wherever you are.
Right.
They start doing that around now. So 3 weeks in, we really haven't learned anything yet, but we're testing.
So testing what they know now, and then will they do it again in the spring?
Probably, I don't know. It's just, dear parents, your child will start this test. I don't. It's annoying. I'm like, y'all basically teach our kids how to take a test all year long because funding.
Well, what do they tell you when they send these notes home? I'm just curious.
I mean, they tell us that make sure they get rest so they can test well, and that kind of stuff. And then I guess they do it again at the end of the year to show where they are and how they've either grown or not
Or
grown or
right.
whatever. But they put a lot of pressure on these kids to take these tests. So I remember these tests too. Scantron, baby. Number two pencil. Get it in.
Mhm.
And a good eraser.
Very good eraser. Very good eraser.
Do you remember those days of taking the test, Cameron?
Yeah, like the pre-ACT tests and
No,
like
before
No, no, no. We go back.
the
pre.
the,
Go further back.
the
Go further back.
Iowa
Iowa
tests.
Yes, the
skills.
Iowas.
Yeah, I was getting there. Yes,
Yeah, I hated it back then too. I'm just like, why are we doing this?
yeah,
why?
not fun, not fun for anyone.
Yeah, we just got here. Why are we taking these tests? Why do y'all care? Funding.
Well, at at this point, the data is actually really important because people are dying to see just how impactful the virtual learning was in COVID.
That's true too. That's true too because
Well, they don't know
these
by now.
these teachers saying, "Hey, that was a doozy on them kids." Even the ones that were like in high school. Like I've talked to some parents who have like kids graduating from high school or going into high school.
Hmm.
They said that year and a half was detrimental just for socializing. I mean, didn't they already have friends? And by this time, yada yada yada, they're like, yeah, but it's just like you literally separated yourselves from society, kind of in those functions, like their normal thing, dances, being at school, creating new relationships. It just doesn't happen, and it did affect a lot of these kids when they come to school, even the ones who've been in school already for 10, 11 years already. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like it affected them negatively in a way as well. Like, my son, his first year and a half was virtual
Hmm.
of schooling. Like schooling for him was virtual
So
for
was
first
that kindergarten and first grade for him?
kindergarten and part of first grade. Yeah. And so, him going to school, and you just kind of, and then all of a sudden we're seeing all these students that have learning disabilities all of a sudden as well. It's just like, what the heck? Like, I don't remember, like, obviously, we probably
And
did.
and for adults too.
No,
It's
no,
like
hey, look, but like I was about to say, when we were kids, you usually didn't hear about it. They just put them in the special ed classroom and close the door. You
right.
know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
where some of them probably didn't need to be in there,
Yeah.
where it was just, maybe a little bit of delay here and there, but they just kind of stuffed everybody back there and you didn't know. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Back in the day. But yeah, man, that virtual time for these kids in schools was a doozy.
I'm wondering because I was an only, so I don't know if it would have affected me quite the way that it has affected others. Because I was quite comfortable in my solitude. So I don't
I
know.
don't think it's that because Blake's an only child too, but it's like uh the ability just for him starting, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Yeah.
maybe
From that
what
beginning.
you're talking
Yeah.
about is different. Like maybe you're already in school and you're only kid, maybe that. Like if he'd already been in school for a while, it might have affected him differently.
Yeah.
But it's literally him, like that's a very important time in his life, 5, 6,
Yeah.
socializing with
Socialization.
other
Yeah.
kids, and he really does enjoy being around other kids. So that was something for him.
That's good.
That's interesting. Well, as I said, it is the first day of school here, and do you all also do the first day, third grade pictures?
No,
You do those? Okay.
we take a picture of him, just, you know, look what he
Yeah.
looked like.
With a
But
sign.
we're not doing signs. We're not doing signs. And I implore people, when you do your signs, make sure that information. Don't put your teacher's name on
Yeah,
there.
all that. The
School's name,
school, the
grade,
classroom name,
what their
all
nickname
number.
is, what they like to eat. Yeah, all that stuff is just information that can be used at the front desk.
Yeah.
Check your kid out.
Absolutely. See, I have their picture right here.
Yep.
And yeah.
Done.
All right, let's go to the What You Need to Know newsletter. We are missing a member of the crew. I'm thinking Damon is probably slaving over a microphone at this point, either back on the vineyard or not. But let's move to the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday newsletter in which we seek to give folks information about what's going on in the African American community. And Khameron is a contributor. And this week you started a series, Khameron.
Well, yeah, that's because I wasn't aware, or I was made aware that it's been 10 years since the tragic murder of Mike Brown. Really just the shot heard around the world for many people whose lives drastically changed, not just for those in Ferguson, but for many people all across the nation, all across the world. And it was 10 years.
10 years ago, Friday, August 9th.
Yes. Yeah. So it's been 10 years since Mike Brown was murdered by Darren Wilson, 10 years since the Black Lives Matter uprising in Ferguson, 10 years of police reform or the lack thereof. And I say that because the rate in which Black people have been killed by police hasn't gone down since 2014. It hasn't gone down in 10 years, despite the reforms. As we are approaching our November election on the federal level, that has promised a police reform bill that has promised a database of police officers who have prior disciplinary infractions, plus promised more police accountability. When people ask why is it we vote to see those kind of reforms through, that is certainly one reason. But I wanted to just reflect more on just like the humanity of what happened to Mike Brown and what happened afterward. A lot of people my age or around my age got their careers started after Mike Brown was murdered. Founder of the Black Lives Matter movement, many people became activists and community leaders after Mike Brown was murdered. Damon's kids as well, Christiana Ray Colon and Damon Williams, his son, became leaders after Mike Brown was murdered. And it was just one of the more visceral and shocking tragic deaths of an unarmed Black man that spurred on quite a bit of change. So yeah, I just wanted us all to reflect on that, and then also just writing stories on how far the movement has come since then, as we round the bend of we make our way toward a pivotal election year, so we can all stay abreast on the issues.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that day, first of all, before we move forward. It was a weekend. An 18-year-old Michael Brown was killed by a police officer, as you mentioned, Darren Wilson, in Ferguson, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis. And he was there with his friend, Dorian, when the police officer, Darren Wilson, said that an altercation ensued when Michael Brown attacked him in his police vehicle for control of Wilson's service pistol. The struggle continued. Then they heard gunshots. And he said at that point, there was some discrepancy because Michael Brown's friend Dorian said that Wilson initiated a confrontation by grabbing Mike by the neck through the police car window, threatening him and then shooting him. Both Wilson and Johnson stated that Michael Brown and Johnson fled, with Wilson pursuing Brown shortly thereafter. And Wilson stated that Brown stopped and charged him after a short pursuit. Um, his friend contradicted this account, stating that Michael Brown turned around with his hands raised after Wilson shot at his back. And he then shot Brown multiple times until he fell to the ground. And in the entire altercation, Wilson fired a total of 12 bullets, including twice during the struggle in the car. Michael Brown was struck 6 times, all in the front of his body. And this is what ignited, the unrest in Ferguson, Missouri.
And the fact that he was left there outside on the asphalt for hours.
And the protest that began was hands up, don't shoot.
Yes. Yep. That was the rallying cry. Yeah.
Peaceful protest and then violent riots continued for a week or more in Ferguson, much more. And police had to establish a nightly curfew and things like that. The grand jury, and I remember going to his funeral, in which Reverend Al Sharpton gave the eulogy. Parents are not supposed to lose their children. And in a matter like this, it was absolutely heartbreaking to see his parents and especially his mother and father, his family, suffer in the way that they did. And although there was a lot of evidence that was brought as the grand jury was called, the U.S. Department of Justice concluded that Darren Wilson shot Michael Brown in self-defense. And it was then that a few short years later that Wesley Bell, who is now the Democratic nominee for the United States Congress, having beat Cori Bush last week, spent 5 months reviewing the case and with an eye to charge Wilson. And he announced after going through this that he would not be charged. And so this is a case that, unfortunately, like Michael Brown did, this is a case that will not die. And as you said, it did lift so many people, Cori Bush being one of them, out of their normal day-to-day worlds and lifted them into a world of activism. And it was heartbreaking. And I'm glad that you did this, Khameron, and I look forward to hearing the remainder of your stories. For tomorrow's newsletter, what do you talk about?
Yeah, so for tomorrow's newsletter, I just talk about the history of policing and how far it is that we've got as a people. President Obama, if you can believe it, President Obama was president at the time. If your memory can go back that far, mine didn't. I forgot who was president, and he had signed a lot of federal reforms, and so we're just pouring into what those were and how effective those were. Don't forget, President Obama was the one that did the mandate for body cams of all police officers, which is still very testy depending on which cop you ask. And afterward, we're going to see, who are some of the other, activists that whose careers got started after the murder of Mike Brown, and what have they done, and where are they now? So we're going to get into that as well.
And before Mike Brown, there was Trayvon Martin and people who became involved, such as Ben Crump and others in this. And just for your information, Barack Obama was president then too, and talked about Trayvon being could have been his son. It's a sad look back at a sad time, but hopefully something will come of this. And so check out the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is, if you do not subscribe, please go to SybilWilkes.com. Give us your name and your email address, and we'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday. First thing, Med, what do you remember about those times? Were you
I was like,
were you working in Chicago at the time?
yeah, I was working in. I was in Houston.
Mm.
I was looking at the dates. I was like
August
2014 August. I just got into Houston in April of 2014. So I was in Houston at that time. And it just kind of, like you said, Trayvon Martin being 2012, February 2012, that was kind of the kickoff of this era of, not like you said, I think Mike Brown, like Khameron was saying, was like the kickoff of Black Lives Matter, and things like that. And it's activism that we've seen, but Trayvon was like the first one where we're like, oh, okay, he got off, that whole thing. And then Mike Brown happened in August of 2014. And I remember, seeing the protests. I remember seeing Ferguson on fire. I remember our guy from CNN. Why is his name escaping me right now?
Don Lemon.
Don Lemon. I remember him, kind of having his issues there. That was before the switch up for him.
Right.
That was like the kind of catalyst of him kind of changing his image.
Yeah.
Was that moment in Ferguson.
He got some bass in his voice then, didn't he?
Man, it was serious, but it was our really first time watching protests like that in a long time, And then, if people remember, a couple months later, we had Tamir Rice.
Well, and I was going to say, and in October of 2014, in Chicago was Laquan McDonald.
Was it the same year?
Yep.
That's what I remembered. I just remembered it was a back to back. It was like a time of it was just happening quick.
Every time you turn around, yeah.
And it was towards the end of the Obama administration, and it was just like, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? It was just like, we knew Obama's administration was coming to an end, but it was just like, no, it was in the middle of. I'm sorry, it was in the middle of his second term, because he'd been
reelected in 2012 was his.
But it was just like those last 2 years.
Yeah,
it was just you saw him talk about it so much. It almost became distracting to what he to what he was other things he was doing. And I remember that's when the task force came in. That's when the DOJ started looking into those things, and then Trump
subsequently just
dismissed all those things.
Yeah.
So from what Khameron was talking about, how things haven't really changed that much, is because we had a 4-year period where it was not being checked.
Yeah. 2014 was a really ugly and disturbing year when you think about that. With and I'm sure Michael Brown wasn't the first, but that was the initial. Then was Laquan McDonald, killed by police 17 times, shot in the back, and then the next month was Tamir Rice in November.
And the crazy thing is, like, for me, Tamir Rice was the one that affected me the most. Like the Mike Brown situation for me was, there was a lot going on. And again, another thing that kind of stood out for me was how quickly they destroyed that young man's image.
Yeah.
Video of him taking the thing out of the store.
Right. Yeah.
Him charging at the police officer like a raging monster or something like that. That was the first time you really saw them, the media, go after the victim. You know what I'm saying? And
monster. Yeah.
And then with Tamir Rice,
that was awful. That was, and to justify a child playing with
that to me was even worse, because he literally was out there playing around. And whenever I tell people, when I saw the video, it was like a drive-by. They didn't warn him, they didn't anything. They just, doors open and he was dead. And even after they were told in the 911 call that it might be a toy gun. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't even get a chance to look. They just killed him.
And the call was that a guy called that a male was waving a gun. A male waving a gun, not a child, not, and no other description than that.
But in the call, he was like, I'm not sure if it's a real gun or not. I remember
he said it was probably a fake.
Okay, see, and so that's why I was just like, why are you like they had no reason to act the way they did that quickly. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's why that one stood out to me the most. at the time. But that Mike Brown, that whole 2014 and the last 2 years of the Obama administration, it was tough. It was very tough.
It was awful. So it is necessary for us to look back, because I believe that those of us that forget the past are doomed to repeat it. But it's repeated whether we want it or not, whether we have knowledge of it, whether we want to remember or do something about it. It's still happening. As Coy is working on the Sonia Massey case, and a woman killed in her own home, like other Black women who have been being killed in their homes, and or made to be embarrassed in their own homes by police, Chicago police, or Springfield, Illinois police, or Louisville, Kentucky police, or just keep adding the cities as you go on. So, people can look forward to your stories in the What You Need to Know newsletter, Khameron, and we look forward to it. Thank you very much. And let's move on to what's really going on. This might be like a two-part, because we didn't do the pre-production on this the way we should have. But with this being the first day of school here, and seeing teachers give their Instagram post about what they will encounter on these first days of school, what's the most unusual name of a classmate, or one that you've heard of? Because there's this one teacher on Instagram gave a whole roll call, if you will, of names of children that are so unique. and I say unique because this one child's name was YU apostrophe NEEK, unique.
Wow.
And Khameron, you're still in the educational sphere. Are there names that you come across and say that's something?
Oh yeah, every now and then, but it happens so frequently. It just kind of I just accept it for what it is, and I try to like pronounce the kid's name directly, and then compliment them on their name. I try to like really just affirm them, knowing in the back of my mind that their parents had to be on something to really try and take it that far. I met a kid. I mean, but this name isn't really that bad. I met a kid named Damarion the other day. I met a pair of twins named Giovanna and Giovannia and Giovania. Mm-hmm. No, yeah, there's three of them. Mm-hmm. Giovanna, Giovania, and Giovania. Mm. And Giovania was really insistent that that it was not spelled similarly like the others.
Like Joe, it's a matter of pronunciation, not spelling. But
yeah, I think they just dropped the accent in like different places on their name. Yeah,
there is a smattering of young women who were thought to be boys and end up being girls, and their father said, "Screw it,
we're going with it.
We're gonna go with it. Instead of a junior, you're going to be a juniorette of some sort. We're going to put my name into yours and put an at the end, and all the world is going to be better." Because their daddy name is Joe.
Right.
You got to be Joe. Joseph something. What I'm saying? And it's like, it's like, you want to say their fathers ain't in the children's lives? No, but they're in their names.
Right.
They're in their names.
Well, yeah, their father's name is Jovan. And so I think they just.
Yeah, he didn't have any boys, so he needed to get it off somehow.
Gotta get
some way.
Joe in there.
Georgina.
Oh yeah, well George Foreman showed absolutely no imagination.
Absolutely not.
With the exception of one kid, they were all named George.
And then there was Bob.
And then there's Bob. Yeah.
The funny thing is, I can't remember. I remember because I grew up. I was a token, so it was the Middle Eastern kids' names that kind of stood out to me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, the Polish names that stood out to me growing up, because I was just like, how do those letters, put together and make a name? It doesn't make any sense to me. The one that stands up, of course, the most to me, because, I don't hear my name that often, was a classmate whose name was Ahmed. And I was just like, wow.
So was it Ahmed Ben Ahmed, like son of Ahmed?
No, Ahmed. First name Ahmed, last name Ahmed. And
Well, Sirhan, yeah.
So like for me, I was like so intrigued. I'm like, so both.
Wow.
Like both,
Wow.
really?
Okay.
But then it also reminds me of it's college football time. And so there's always a list, the top football names. And number one for the last 2 or 3 years has been General Booty.
Right.
That's his name.
Yeah.
First name General, last name Booty.
Named after his father, no doubt. Yeah.
Actually, there's a long line of booties that played in college football.
I know.
Oh, and I was just like, this is lineage, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of booties in there, but it's there's some great names in college football, and you're definitely going to be hearing of them and drafted in the fall or in the spring. So yeah, definitely look out for those.
So there was one student, and for the most of these, you really got to see them spelled out, and then the kind of indignation that is shown by the children when he's trying his best to come up to pronounce their names. But there's one young man. His name is spelled BEENJAMIN. BEEN apostrophe JAMIN.
Benjamin.
Close.
Benjamin.
Benjamin.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's what the teacher said too. And then there were the twins. There was Washa and Drya.
No,
it was funny. That was a very funny close for it. But Myra J tells the story about the twins. They didn't know what to name them, and so they came around lunchtime, and they were still with 2 little girls, and they named one Lemon and the other one Oran Jello and Lemon Jello. Lemon Jello and Oran Jello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not that hard. Okay, to name a child, especially with generative AI. All right, it's not that hard.
No, this is before. I mean, to be fair, all of these kids were like high school, and so AI has been around for a minute, but not long enough for to consult Chat GPT for give me a good name for my kid.
Let's add that right now.
So let's go to the viewers and listeners. Shirley Ann Tony Davis on Facebook says whiskey is the name.
According to ChatGPT, the most creative name it can come up for a kid is Lyric Solstice.
That's really kind of tame these days. You got kids named Apple, Moon Unit,
Kool-Aid McKinstry. His real name is Kool-Aid on the birth certificate.
Barbara Ferguson says, my niece's name is Takawika Tablanda Talatishu Tawet.
I'm gonna call you a straight up liar just because.
Although
that better be some kind of. There's got to be maybe a different language. I don't know.
And Barbara, if you could give us a little context,
please.
How many names did the child need? Brenda McCutcheon on Facebook says cars, liquor, and female extension of daddy's name dominated a generation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Lexus.
What? Yes. Yeah. And places of conception.
Oh yeah. Well, you know who did that? And this is a white man. Ron Howard and his wife named all of their children's middle names where they were conceived.
Anybody named Couch?
No, but there was a Dallas.
It is. The coldest Crawford.
The coldest Crawford?
The oldest.
Oh, the oldest. That's the child's name?
No, the coldest. DECOLDEST. The coldest. He's the coldest.
Okay.
I don't think that's different from naming your child Sir or King or,
There's a lot of those, yeah.
Squirrel White.
Robin Richardson, a popular name is Samaje, which is James spelled backwards. Also, Nevaeh.
I know a couple Samajes.
Wow.
That's James backwards. Just like your backwards daddy. That's how we're going to
I never thought about it. James backwards Samaj. I don't like that. Come on.
Nevaeh is the heaven backwards. Dr. R on
My
YouTube
niece
says.
is named Nevaeh, and her uncle's name is Samaj. Okay, okay, this is
Dr. R on YouTube
okay.
says
All
parents
right.
need to stop using every letter in the alphabet in one name. Then the parent has the nerve to be mad because I can't pronounce it. The pronunciation does not follow any rule.
Mm-mm.
That's true. Benjamin is Benjamin, and they get mad. I mean,
Mhm.
They do get mad.
There was a young lady that worked with us. She was an intern, and her name was Beautiful. And every single
Oh.
man was very. This was right after the Me Too time,
Uh-huh.
and it was like, do you have like another name that we can call you? Because
It's a
like it was
little
like I swear we did not like to call her by her name. No, my
Was
name's
she?
Beautiful. You call
Was she?
she was shy, but I still don't matter. I felt I literally had to ask. So you have like a middle name or something like that?
Because in this day and age, it's someone might
Yeah, I
call us
just
out
don't feel
first.
comfortable calling you that in the workplace. Hey,
What
Beautiful.
and what was her response?
She goes, no, just call me Beautiful. I'm like, okay, yeah, okay. I was just gonna call you at all. Huh? How about that?
Go talk to her.
Hey, you.
Noel Isaacs on Facebook had a kid in summer camp named I Am Me.
I like that. I like that.
Because you have to be reminded of that every day.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Fish McWilliams.
Fish
Fish McWilliams.
McWilliams. Like a fillet?
Kind of.
Okay.
I guess. Wow, that's really
Wow.
upsetting.
Janet Ferguson on Facebook. I don't recall any odd names in school, but there's a name I remember when I was working in life insurance, and that name was Purification Passion. Purification Passion. I will never forget that name. I bet you won't.
What could you have been going through in your life when you had that child and you're like, you know what? Purification Passion. You must have gone through the ringer to say, hey, I just need, this child is a cleansing.
Well, there was something with the air filter.
Absolutely.
And some going through some bad air.
Yeah, maybe we're like a shareholder for Glade or like selling too many Avon products or something.
And passion, purification, passion.
Names like that, you're going through something when you name your child that. That's all I know.
Yeah. Aubrey W., the most unique name I've ever remembered was my classmate in high school. Her name was Shantoya Nika. My classmate
That's Nika.
Was high or drunk when she had her.
That's sad. That's
Nika. That's just Nika.
That's Nika. Yeah.
That's just a cultural name.
That is when you go to the teacher before they make roll call and just say, yo, that's me. Just call me Nika. Let's not go through this.
Right.
Yeah.
But H2O Ice on YouTube says, thank God Siri can sound out the names. Then we need those Siri in the classroom for some of these poor teachers, unless they are Purification Passion, and now they're in a classroom where they, can't really make fun of a person's name.
Aaron. No.
Classic.
Aaron.
Ra and Ha are both. Yeah, Ha was that Green Bay Packers?
Yes, Ha was the Green Bay Packers, same team. Aaron and Ha and Ha Davis.
Davis
is a comedian.
Davis.
Yeah. That wasn't his real name though, was it?
No, I don't think so.
Gio Rodriguez on YouTube says, I went to college with John Booty.
Told you.
Yeah.
I mean, and that might be his uncle.
Okay.
I don't know if that's his daddy or his uncle. I don't know.
A junior or the fourth. I don't know. Judy Douglas on Facebook. I went to high school with Luke Warmwater.
I like that.
So I wonder if that was an Indian.
Cavassier Smoke.
Cavassier, yep.
God, I can't believe people really name
Exotic. I remember someone telling me that their first classroom experience, the child's name was Exotique, but you can call me Exotic.
You can't name a child Exotic.
Yes, she was, and probably after her mom's name. The money. Michael Starwer says the money. My sister mentioned about a baby with that name. She looked after in a NICU a decade ago. The money.
Get straight to the money, baby.
Wow. A Midnight Rider on YouTube. Wasn't there an Olympic water polo player whose name was Michael Biach? I don't remember.
Not sure.
I wasn't so much on the men's water polo, so I don't remember that one.
Oh, that's so.
Child's name was Shithead, pronounced Shatid. Yeah. My Midnight Rider says that on YouTube too. Yeah, I remember that one. That I think that one came out of a bit of like a it wasn't Richard Pryor, but it was somebody along those lines had that name.
Jaquavius.
Jaquavius.
Jaquavius Marks.
Well, hopefully we'll get it together with some of these names this teacher had. But I thank you all for participating in our little game.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And bringing up the spirits a little bit. Let's move to trending topics. You guys have anything going on you want to mention? Khameron?
Nope. Not really. Just working.
And Ahmed, do you have anything on your little radio show?
Yeah, my little radio show is gonna be, from my understanding, gonna be out there. We're gonna start broadcasting in a new affiliate in Hawaii.
You gotta do an affiliate visit.
Man, they said they can't wait to see us out there. I'm like, really? We can accommodate.
Okay.
We can accommodate. Go ahead and send some tickets. So no, it's really cool. The morning hustle. It seems like we're getting close to that. So we can't wait to start in Honolulu. I think Honolulu. We're right by. From my understanding, like between two bases. So
yes, definitely.
The majority of the listeners are, American soldiers, and yeah, man. Like when I heard I heard like they told us like maybe last week, and I'm like, no, they weren't talking about us. They just talking about this station in Hawaii. And then today I had a meeting. They're like, I'm like, oh, you were talking about us. Okay, cool. Look at that.
Good for you.
Very excited about us. I'm like, well, okay.
I always wanted to do the Tom Jordan Morning Show from Hawaii because it would have been, like 11 o'clock at night. And that would have been a cool thing to do, but never got that far. The ex-University of Kentucky student. You remember this young lady who was caught on video? She was drunk and she cursed out this black student worker, attacking her, firing off an arsenal, they say, of racist slurs, including the N-word more than 200 times. Her name is Sophia Rosing. She pleaded
guilty. That's tough to do when you're trying to do it on purpose. That's tough. 200 times?
200 times.
You really got to be going.
She pleaded guilty to 4 counts of 4th-degree assault, 1 count of disorderly conduct, and 1 count of public intoxication. That's not enough alcohol in the world to act like this. In Fayette County Circuit Court this week, according to her attorney, he said the guilty plea came after a mediation in which he said a lot of things got said, apologies were made, and we worked it out. How many apologies can you make and still be charged like this? Well, for every N-word, yeah. Her life has been on hold for the past 18 to 20 months. She had a lot of time. They should have had her in jail thinking about this, about what she did, and wrote a nice letter of apology. Damn your letter of apology. She allegedly kicked, punched, and bit the 19-year-old black student Kyla Spring while repeatedly calling her the N-word during her drunken tirade at a campus residence hall back in 2022. The young black woman previously said she tried to check on Rosing, who appeared drunk and in need of assistance, but instead was attacked by the student and pelted with disgusting vitriol, another good name. She explained in the TikTok video of the encounter, the girl starts saying things like, do my chores. It's not my fault that you're black. It's not my fault that you're ugly. And at this point, she's like singing the N-word. Yeah, you gotta have a riff going there, I guess. The former University of Kentucky student continued her appalling behavior when police arrived, but wait, there's more. Put her in handcuffs. She allegedly kicked and bit the arresting officer during the drunken rampage, and she was heard saying the N-word again in a 10-minute video, and they say about 200 times during that 10-minute video, according to the newspaper. They permanently banned her from the school, from campus, following the racist attack. And
she channeled just the fire.
Alcohol will bring the truth out of a lot of people.
Oh yeah,
and
she brought it all back to 1776.
Yeah,
like you said, Sybil, there's certain things where an apology letter, an apology don't really mean shit, and that is one of them. I'm sorry, but anyways, it doesn't mean anything because We know you're lying.
Right.
You that's ingrained in you.
This is deep.
That's from birth.
Yeah.
That's your
That's
parents.
the ancestors.
That's your parents that you know. This is how we
Our
feel about these
forefather.
people.
Yeah.
You too shall carry on to the tradition of racism.
Do my chores.
And matter of fact, I'm gonna make it even worse for you. I'm gonna say I'm probably gonna lie to you about what some black people did to your family members.
Okay.
And get you riled up. I'm telling you right now, there's no apology in the world. I don't want an apology from you. I don't care. I'm glad I know that you're around and I know who you are. Thank you for pointing it out and letting it be known. And I hope you don't find another job ever in life.
Right.
There's no job that can attach themselves to this human being.
Yeah. Internet never
forgets. Unless you're the Klansman, and you're doing the books for the Klan. There's really no job that can really accept this kind of human being.
Whoa.
Yeah, listen, I wanted to be in jail. I wanted to be out in public and known.
Yeah, and with something across it saying, "Ask me about the N-word."
Yeah,
good public shaming. Yeah.
But you know what? It's good to have friends like Yolanda Starks-White, who is the most forgiving person, and no matter what you may have said or done in the past, she has a very poor memory and won't remember things. I will remind her. But it is just so disgusting that this young woman has gotten off with pretty much just a slap on the hand.
And here's the craziest thing: there'll be people that want to support her. Like, you want a job? Hey, set up a GoFundMe. We'll take care of you.
Yeah.
It is wild out here, man.
That's just the culture of America.
Man.
That's just the culture of it.
Man, they were like, how dare they stop her for her First Amendment rights?
Poor little Sophia.
We'll take care of you. Hey, here's some money to support you.
Okay, I want her to go with the original Sophia from The Color Purple. You told Harpo to beat me. I really want somebody to wear her out.
Wear her out.
That's right, as my mama used to say. Ford and Mazda are warning the owners of more than 475,000 older vehicles in the U.S. not to drive them, not because they don't drive, but because they still have those darn Takata airbags and the inflators that have not been replaced. The warning covers more than 374,000 Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury vehicles from 2004 through 2014 model years and nearly 83,000 Mazdas from 2003 to 2015. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says the inflators can explode with too much force in a crash, blowing apart a metal canister and shooting fragments that can severely injure or kill people. All have been recalled previously, but the repairs have not been completed. For instance, there are still thousands of cars out there that still have the Takata airbags 10 years after the recall, because it's 2014, 10 years after the recall, and the National Highway Safety Administration says they can do it to you too, and just stop driving the cars. But first of all, those are probably second and third hand cars. So they may not know, but we're telling you the makes and the models of these cars. If you are driving between those years, go look it up with the National Traffic Safety Administration. Mazdas from 2003 to 2015, Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury vehicles 2004 to 2014, and beyond. I mean, I drive an old car too. I need to go and look and see what that is.
The thing is with these airbags is that they make the situation worse instead of making it better. As in, like, you can be in a car accident that it could be a fender bender, but for these airbags, they could explode, even though it wasn't warranting, the airbag.
That kind of response,
exactly. But they could explode so viciously. I've seen people after they've been, in a car accident, and it was the airbag that beat them the heck up.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've seen them with their face. I'm like, man, did you hit the dash? No, that was the airbag.
That was
the airbag.
You up too, yeah.
It'll have your face red and burnt up. So I mean, and that's on what they're supposed to do in protecting you, and that's not even this explosive. Hey, it's shooting needles and
and God forbid you don't have glasses on when that happens.
it's dangerous. And I mean, it's always a dangerous situation when you're in a car accident. And let's be honest, the airbag is supposed to kind of be like a pillow for you to
Right. Yeah. It's a
more
nice
so it's
little.
like it's like a punch in the face. It's like,
Yeah.
we're gonna stop you like you're running into a brick wall.
Right.
Safety.
More like a jab, yeah.
More like a bunch of knives being tossed at you, It's like, oh, God.
It'll mess you up. Seatbelts are just designed to keep whatever is in them in the car. They don't seatbelts don't care about your feelings. Seatbelt will scar you like all the way across your body. Seatbelt will like snap your waistline if it has to, just to keep you in the car.
We've seen
so definitely
crash dummies.
So think about that duo right there. You got my man holding you back while the other guy punching you in the face.
Oh, you're not going nowhere.
That's what it's like being in a car crash.
Wow.
Somebody just slaps you upside the head, another guy grabs you, and another body punches you in the face. Safety
first.
Yes.
So if you got those old cars, please go and get them checked out.
Whatever happened to the ones that the seatbelt went up and buckled for you when you closed the door?
Somebody said, I don't need anybody to do that for me. Let me do it myself. And they said, okay.
Those were everywhere.
Yeah, and those were yeah.
But then you're supposed to buckle the bottom part, and I'm like, who's doing that?
Come on.
Yeah. Who's doing that?
I think we just like automated some things that just really didn't need to be automated. Like I think there was a year where just like there were just some very silly innovations coming out. Like 3D movies, for instance, was one.
I still think they're pointless. I don't like them.
I think that's when people were really using too much weed. I really do believe it. They just thought, this is cool.
Good. Yeah.
Have y'all been watching the saga of Charles Barkley and what he's going to do with his life?
Charles.
So he went from, this whole thing about the NBA games and who's going to be able to play that, or who's going to have the rights to show the games. And TNT has been left in the dust, right? So Charles Barkley went from free agency to retirement, back to free agency, and ultimately declared his allegiance to TNT over the past 3 months as the NBA media rights negotiations have become one of the biggest stories in sports. So Barkley allegedly plans to work through the remainder of his contract with Warner Brothers Discovery, also known as WBD. He revealed on the Dan Le Batard show that he gave up a minimum of $100 million by opting to remain at TNT. So they're not going to have the games. They don't know what they're going to do. And a lot of people are going to be out of work.
So they never compete to see who will host the NBA.
Right. So they did come
and this every year.
The contract.
The length of the contract.
So, and this is, I think, 11 years, I believe. This is 11 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to put people like all of those people in the inside the game and all of that on TNT. They're going to be out of work, right? And so Charles has, let others know publicly that Charles has given out bonuses to a lot of these people who are going to lose their jobs. And he also said that he wanted to he wanted to stay and have TNT come up with something so that these people could keep this job for this next year, and then while they're still employed, look for another job. It's pretty cool on his part. A lot of people are calling him magnanimous and things like that. He said, but it was a great feeling. I want to thank all those networks for reaching out to me, but it was humbling, and they were throwing out these crazy numbers. But what about the people who are going to be left without?
I think that he's going to change his mind again. Because this is the last year that Inside the NBA on TNT is going to happen. This is the final season of it.
Right.
Before all the new changes happen in 2025, the fall of 2025.
Right.
So you're going to have it's going to be ABC, Disney, who's keeping their rights. You're going to have Amazon. NBC,
which is done well with the football game.
With the football, they've been doing well, but there's still people that are having a hard time. Like, why do we have to do streaming?
Right.
And Charles was very big against that. He's like, people don't have streaming. I'm like, not everybody got cable either.
Right.
So you have to understand that. NBC is going back to the NBA. So hold on, really quick. Let me talk. Tesh.
John
Tesh. He said they're going to tweak. Do not touch that intro. Okay?
Because that's his song.
That's his song.
That's his
He's
music.
like, we're going to, it's going to be a new. No. We don't want that. We don't need new.
Okay.
We've been without it for about 20 years. Just give it how it works.
Okay. And I like going to the mailbox and getting those checks.
And bring back Bob Costas, Marv Albert. I want all that for my son. Come on.
Not Bob Costas.
Bob Costas, look here. My childhood, the Chicago Bulls was narrated by Bob Costas and Marv Albert. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. See, look, I understand the toupee and the biting. I get all that.
Remember that?
I remember all of that with Marv Albert. I get it, but some time has passed, and hey, just give me a game with Marv Albert, doing his intro. Anyways, don't touch the song. But yeah, so you have all of that, and Charles Barkley, the guy, I really do believe that the guys on Inside the NBA are going to be picked up by. I think Amazon going to drop a bag on them to have them be the host of their Thursday night game. And,
I hope so.
And just keep them in Atlanta and keep everybody. I think that's what's going to happen. Eventually, it's just going to be a different show, but with the same people running it, and it'll be ran the same way. Somebody's gonna go get them.
Charles says this is going to be his last year on TV. I don't know if terrestrial TV.
Okay, Charles.
But $100 million.
Okay, Charles.
Doesn't make you turn your back on,
on
what you said and say, temporary memory loss.
Charles, stop it. You'll be all right.
He really is. He really is going to be all right. And if he keeps donating to HBCUs like he has, I'm all for him. Okay, whatever he's going to make you do.
Yep.
He's become a bit of a philanthropist as of late.
He has very much. Yeah.
All right.
No, Charles has always been that kind of a guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's ever been a time in my life that I remember. Yeah, I'm not a role model when he was in the playing days and whatever, and throwing people through bar windows. Yeah, there was that time. But ever since he's been out of the NBA, Charles has been a great individual and human being.
He's been the role model that people expected.
Exactly.
Indeed. Yeah. Cool. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He hasn't thrown anybody through a window in a long time. Okay.
You guys don't look. We're going to move to entertainment as if that wasn't entertaining enough. And if you need to ask about Marv Albert, just Google it. Marv Albert and backbiting. That's all I'm going to say.
And I think panties were involved too. But go ahead.
Well, what he wears under his suits, I have no control over. Okay.
Go ahead. It was a lot for my young age to really take in. It was
a lot at my old age. In my dating days, I was like, they do that? No.
Marv is doing what? That's not his hair.
No, it's
he's wearing what underneath his what?
Yeah, it's sitting on the lamp right there.
I was confused.
You guys don't look like fans of The Bachelor and get now. Khameron is Googling. You guys. Okay, you Google while I tell this story. Are you either of you fans of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette?
No.
Okay.
I think they're great shows. I haven't watched them though.
Have you ever watched an episode?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, because maybe a woman said, let's watch this together.
No, it was just I just wanted to see what was like an episode like.
So now
I watched, like the Black Bachelorette.
Right, Rachel.
Rachel. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. She picked the white man, and they're getting a divorce now.
Yeah.
But they have a second Black Bachelor.
Okay.
Bachelor. Okay.
His name is Grant Ellis.
Sounds like a Black Bachelor.
Yeah, he's a former basketball player. Appeared on this season with Jen, who is the first Asian Bachelorette.
Mm-hmm.
And he just got bumped off. He did not get a rose last night.
Okay.
So they announced that, have no fear, Grant will be around and he'll be our Bachelor coming up in September. So, ladies.
Has there ever been a Black winner? No, Rachel did win, didn't she?
Rachel won, and
no, Rachel didn't win, but she became the Bachelorette.
She did not win for the Bachelor. She wasn't selected, but she was chosen to be.
I'm saying there's never been a person that's been of color that won.
Apparently, Rachel told Grant that he should get a prenup before the season.
Yes, she did. I was going to tell you that part too as we get into the story. Yeah, because she's learned the hard way now, because I think and tell me if this says this in your story, Cameron. Her husband, her soon-to-be ex-husband, Brian, who's like a chiropractor or something, but he's getting like tens of
No, he's getting
thousands.
paid.
He
Really?
he
How
doesn't
much?
have to be.
No, he's
He doesn't have to be
money
do
off of her.
anything. Yeah, he was getting like what was it like $175,000 or
What?
something like that.
But here's the thing, from my understanding, when it comes to these shows, that it's like all this is within the contract. So I don't even know he can get a prenup based on how this works. And
Well, she said do what you need to do
yeah,
in your
Yeah.
contract before you go on and be the bachelor. Get that in there. Make sure that they're saying, and she must sign a prenup.
and ABC
Yeah,
is not held responsible for not a damn thing that
Right,
happens
right,
or during or after the show.
right. So
Wow.
this guy's a former basketball player. He's never played in the United States, but he's played in Puerto Rico. Well, that's a territory. Mexico and Dominican Republic. And he did something. They're not saying what he did to his knee or his body or whatever, but he's now moved to Houston, and he is a day trader. And so he was so popular, I guess, and they said, let's give him. And it was a real heartbreak that he wasn't chosen by Jen. And so he's going to be the next bachelor. And we know what his type is because he's already given his love to her. He proclaimed his love for her before getting kicked out of the Bachelorette. And
I'm taking a look at him and I'm judging already.
He doesn't have a job.
he's
I just
a day trader.
Khameron, I looked at him. I'm like, oh, this is red flags all over the place. I don't know about it. Oh, I don't know about this.
Buy or sell ain't no job.
And I don't know where all these real pretty vehicles were that he was photographed around. It was maybe a car dealership or something.
A scammer.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck to you, though.
Yeah, good luck to you, Grant. I'm gonna watch because I'm just curious, just like I watched with Rachel and she. But I should say that there was a black bachelorette. I can't remember her name now, but she chose a Nigerian American fellow, and she was on Dancing with the Stars and stuff like that. And so they seem to still be together. But so there has been a black couple that has stayed together. So Chelsea, was it Chelsea or something like that? Yeah.
My generation will watch like Love is Blind or
for
Married
sure.
at First Sight. I think there's like another
Married
one.
at First Sight, yeah.
Yeah, Married at First Sight is usually the one.
Yeah. Netflix.
So what you were talking about with the prenup and everything, Cameron, Brian Abasolo filed for divorce from Rachel and is now asking for spousal support at $75,000 to cover his legal and $75,000 to cover his legal fees. But she's just saying just one word, prenup, dude. Just prenup.
That's wild.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's really not entertaining, but for some of us,
it falls under there, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, that's crazy, man. Like people really fall in love, and then when the bottom falls out, what is it about? Like proprietary things, cash and one's property. And I thought Halle Berry got it. I thought Halle
not once, not twice, 3 times.
And Mary J.
Yeah.
Mary J. Baby.
Another one. Yeah.
Mary Shepherd. Sherry Shepherd has a whole child.
She has a nice career as a result of that.
Hey, I ain't mad at it.
She's got jokes on stage for that. If she can get past the line that the judge has drawn. All right, so let's close this out with today's jewel. Choices is the theme. Choices reflect your values. The choices you make should align with your personal and ethical beliefs. So go out there and make good choices, young bachelors and bachelorettes. All right, you guys, thank you so much. See you all again soon. Take care.
We want prenup. Yeah.
Aloha.